If you could ask me anything as a Cal professor and or as a human being, what would you ask me? If you could go back and do anything different during your time in college, what would it be? Why? Worry less about grades, but it's complicated by the system. Studying in high school with hopes of college was my way out of trauma. My academic scholarships that paid for college were dependent on maintaining top-notch grades, so that complicated my life and added stress. People told me later I had the first 4.0 in college history. My alma mater was founded in 1873 and was known for academic rigor and grade deflation. Eventually, my whole identity was tied up in a 4.0, and that wasn't healthy for me. I did read and learn a lot, though, thankfully. Good grades were what would enable me to get an education and change my dicey home and socioeconomic circumstances. That stress contributed to panic attacks and recurring stomach aches. What has been a memory that has impacted your life? Has this influenced why you wanted to become an educator? I'll never forget when I went for my college interview, Dr. Paulina Noble, an English professor, interviewed me. She must have seen a skinny brown kid who was shy, hunched, not confident. But here's what she said to me. "You have smart eyes." I carried that comment with me like a powerful secret, wore it inside me like a magic cloak for years, never forgetting her words. This small award-winning liberal arts college in Northwest Georgia offered me the most in scholarship money, so of course I chose it. That and for Dr. Noble. Was there a turning point in your life that guided you to be where you are? Career-wise, mentality-wise, open to interpretation. I don't know what age I was because there were many growing up years that were and are a blur time-wise. But I remember sitting cross-legged on a rough-textured late 1960s era garish orange carpet, quite worn but always clean. I was high school or maybe college age. This is my childhood bedroom. Suddenly I realized I had to forgive someone, because if I didn't, it would be mortally unhealthy for me. And I asked the universe for that. Help me forgive X person for X and X and X and X. I don't want to, but if I don't, I'm worried for myself. I don't know how to either, but help me do it somehow. I felt a shift. A new space opened. I can't explain it, and it took time and honesty about my experience and new boundaries, and it was hard, but after some years, it was done. In some ways, it goes on even into today, because healing from trauma takes ongoing self-compassion, much learning about and honoring of my voice, much meditation, and lots of healthy community. Could you give us one piece of advice as college students? Trust your gut. Who is your role model and why? Well, at 6, it was Batman, the cartoon version from the 1960s. He had genius-level intelligence, was a master detective, a master escapologist, was in top condition physically, was a martial artist, and fought for good and for the underdog, all things I wanted and felt I lacked. Later, my true role model has always been my first and longest best friend, my mother, who exemplifies that person who believes in you no matter what and who tells you always that they believe in you 100%. She has always seen people as people never valuing a CEO or a superintendent or a wealthy person over a cleaning person or a teacher or a person who is homeless or poor. She treats everyone with respect. Her model taught me a lot about kindness, how kindness isn't earned by some rules that change depending on whether someone is useful, quote unquote, useful to another or not, but that kindness is given to all. My mother is the type of person whose heart aches knowing that one person in the world is hungry, without a home, without health care, and without love. So that sticks with me because she has lived out that concern for others her whole life. It honestly surprises me that some educators care a lot about their students, in parentheses you, but others just teach the course material and provide minimal support. How would you inspire other educators to provide the care that students appreciate and need most times? Thank you first. Your kind words encourage me. I don't know how to do that, how to inspire others in this way. I think that intention matters because as a teacher there is so much listening involved, and no matter how much you plan and prepare, which for me is countless hours, you have to be a kind of jazz musician where you are always willing to turn up, listen to your students and their situations and strengths and needs, and then respond in the moment to those unique human beings who make Cal great, you all. That means you have to be willing to revise your carefully planned curriculum as you go, rather like an experienced, much practicing beforehand jazz musician riffs. Michelle Obama said in an interview, "Don't hug unless you mean it because people will know the difference." Her words made me think, don't teach unless you mean it because people will know the difference. If you could have any other career, what would you have done? Race car driver in Europe or a therapist? What's your least favorite part about being a professor at Cal? Grades. I could write a paper or even a book on how I think grades are tied to an ancient oppressive system that doesn't encourage learning. However, I teach composition, research, and public speaking where students aren't learning how to do heart surgery. I do think we are learning comparably important skills, how to spot disinformation, how to respect each other and have cross-cultural conversations, how to be good citizens, how to cultivate healthy community, how to honor your voice, how to read, write, speak in public with confidence and skill, and how we can contribute to the common good. What is one piece of advice you would give a college student for the future? Vote. If you decided not to be a professor writer, what do you think you would be doing right now? I'd be lonely because students have brought such meaning to my life. And I want to say I really like how you put together professor writer with a slash between them here in your question. What is the best gift you've received? So many. Life, my children, Sean. Did you face any hardships while a student and female that made you question your profession career? If so, how did you overcome it? I'm interested in stories of overcoming adversity from a female perspective. My father told me I couldn't go to college. He said he had 3 children behind me and he couldn't afford it. He wouldn't help me and I shouldn't even apply. I was a senior in high school. So I used money from my job at Granny's Fried Chicken and quietly applied to 3 colleges, and it was so expensive to do that. I was the fast food restaurant's opening employee, getting there at the crack of dawn to set up the ice cream machine, stock out the restaurant, get the tater tots ready to go for deep frying, chop the coleslaw by hand with a huge knife, sweep the parking lot, and get the cash registers up and running. Once I made it into college, I worked as a secretary to a professor to earn money to pay for my books. This was 1979. In one semester, a professor had us buy 8 books, all expensive, and my book bill was $400, which for that time was hugely costly. I looked it up. That's about $1,650 in money today for one semester's worth of books. And all during my years at college, there was hardship at home. I treated schoolwork like it was a job. I worked hard to stay in school and was stressed 24/7, but a few kind professors helped me keep going too. I've never forgotten them or their kindness. I try to pay it forward. What are some of your favorite books you recommend to read? Wow, there really are too many to mention. I've spent countless hours reading. Some of these are from my growing up years. Pippi Longstocking, The Alchemist, all of Carl Jung, Flowers for Algernon, Anna Green Gables and Percy Jackson, which I read to our children, Watership Down, Kon-Tiki Across the Pacific on a Raft, Tolkien, especially The Hobbit, all of Mary Oliver, poetry and prose, The Diary of Anne Frank, The Outsiders, Heidi, The Little Prince, all of D.W. Winnicott, all of Anne Ulanov, especially Primary Speech. What was the worst piece of advice someone gave you? Well, an English professor at my college whom I looked up to told me when I shared my desire to write children's books, "You don't want to do that." Then told me, "Here's why you don't want to do that." This professor's response helped me see what not to do. I would listen instead. A piece of advice for finding your passion: be self-compassionate. Be kind to you. Listen to your heart. Be with people who support you 100%. Don't be shy about telling people what you bring to the table. Hone your public speaking skills in your downtime, even if by practicing what you'd say if someone asks you, "Tell me about yourself." What is one awesome thing about being a professor that you discovered over the course of your career? I realized over time that what I say to students and genuinely mean, and what I hope for students, which is that you self-actualize and succeed. I also hope for myself. I only realized that fairly recently. Cal students taught me. So I truly mean honor your voice, contribute to the common good, go forth and conquer, O ye mighty ones. And also I think I'm reminding myself of all that. What is your dream destination to vacation at? Georgia, to see my family. Next, anywhere in Hawaii. What keeps you grounded? Meditation, breath work, walking meditation, being out in nature. I go to the marsh to see creation's beauty. I go to remember I can't fly and how beautiful bird flight is, to marvel. Family and friends keep me grounded. What do you think Cal can do better? Listen to students and act on what is said. What's the most interesting thing you have experienced, or the most interesting interaction you've had? Standing before the Grand Canyon, that awe is profound. And I've had the joy of meeting a lot of people, especially authors I respect and admire who are also famous. But that's not what stays with me in the end, because everyone is just a person, no matter how accomplished. So here's my story. When I was in graduate school, my brother was in a severe wreck. He and his friends hit by a drunk driver who died. 2 of my brother's best friends died. They were in their late teens, early 20s, gone. I left graduate school at UGA for a week to tend to him. He had nearly died. I was trying to make all A's since that was what was expected, and UGA had just shifted to a new way of testing PhD students, and a lot of my friends had failed out of the program, which was distressing. It was all about intellect and analysis, and the stress to perform was heavy. At the end of my time in grad school, I was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa, so I made it. But this was during my master's degree, so my success was by no means assured yet. Meanwhile, my brother had a cracked skull from the wreck, and a chip had come off of it. I saw it. He was also in a back brace, sleeping on the sofa because it was stiffer, and also he couldn't be moved back to a bedroom yet. One night, when he was asleep and I was up watching him, ready to bring him water and help with whatnot, I was thinking how he almost died. I looked over, and he was enveloped, even cocooned, in a white light, the likes of which I'd never seen before, nor since. A graduate student trained to question everything. I was like, this can't be. I must be imagining things. So I closed my eyes, turned away, kept them closed for a beat to reset, then turned back and opened them. This white light that I'd never seen before and I've not seen since was still there. I did that a third time. Still there. So I stared at it. It wasn't scary, but it also wasn't earthly. It was other. All I could figure was it was like my brother had been to the other side. He had been dipped in it, and he had somehow come back. This light was from that dipping. I still don't know what it was. Anything I would ask, Professor, would be what motivates you to wake up every morning? For students, it's to push through schools or grades, etc. But what is that thing for you? I get up wanting to help students honor their voices and succeed. I am still so grateful for teachers K-12 and professors who did that for me. There were many. I want to help empower and inspire students to invest in themselves and continue to contribute to the common good. To do that, two things are needed. I've got to continue trying to honor my own voice, a work in progress, and I've got to figure out new ways daily to listen to my students, to what they're really saying, and then act on that. What inspired you to write a lot of your books on spiritual translations? First, for my own healing. They pulled me to them inexplicably, even before my intellect quite knew what they were offering me. The works I've translated are widely acclaimed ancient medicine for the soul, self, body, mind. Childhood trauma led me out into nature, as it did Mary Oliver, the poet, while their nature saved me, as it did her, and I started meditating without and before knowing it. The books I translate are all about kindness. They are universal for everyone. They have global appeal and reach across religious, wisdom tradition, and other divisions to anyone wanting to know how to be more human in the best sense of that word. Their authors lived in the 900s, in the 1300s, in the 1600s, and in other ancient times. Though these authors are technically, quote, dead, they are alive to me, and translating them is what first gave me a community of friends who helped me A, deal with my shadow self, and also B, discover the gold in my shadow, the good in me, and my talents. Since then, I've been fortunate through translation to make friends with those who are doing this work also today. What's your favorite part about being a professor at Cal? You all, period. My students, learning from and teaching my students. You all inspire me daily. What is your favorite part of your career? As an author, professor, translator, what do you like about each job? As an author, I love how writing articles and books helps me be and stay a student. As I'm researching and writing and revising, I regularly experience those moments of WTF am I trying to do here? What does this mean? How will I organize this? Genuine confusion. That's part of the learning process when done well. So being an author reminds me how students feel starting something new. It makes me more compassionate as a professor. Then, as a professor, I love when a student says, "I see," after many struggles. And when a student writes me years later to say, "Thanks for the recommendation. I got my dream job." As a translator, I love how translation requires me to listen actively so that I can hear what the work and what the author are actually saying rather than what I wish they were saying. And that means I only translate texts that are kind and open-minded inherently. Translating is the most intimate form of reading. It's meditation, and it requires applying all of my linguistic and scholarly skills in an intense way over sustained periods, a marathon of sorts, and one I love and trained for. Translating, I find that these classic texts translate me to myself. I grow, I heal, I translate these works for everyone, including my students, and I do it with an inclusive mindset, hoping we can find more peace, meaning, and joy in these texts. What's your favorite way to spend a day off? With my family on a hike in Briones Regional Park, or alternatively, with a book and a cup of coffee or tea. I would like to ask, how do we manage stress and emotional downfalls towards the end of the semester? It's been a roller coaster of emotions this week, and sometimes I just feel like I'm stuck. I'm so sorry to hear you feel stuck. We all know this feeling, and it's never fun. The awareness of it is helpful, though, so I applaud you for that. It seems for me the solution is complex. Being with family and friends, trying to eat well, sleep, drink water, meditate, exercise. One reason walking meditation is so helpful to me. Having a support group I check in on and who check in on me, and going to therapy is sometimes exactly what I've needed. And Berkeley has student-to-student therapy too, which I learned about from student leaders when I was on the Mental Wellness Task Force, nominated to that by students. If you go to cabutcher.weebly.com/support-for, spelled FOR, students.html. Student-to-student peer counseling at Cal and Lean On Me are two programs you can find there on the collaborative teaching website my CWR1A and CWR4B students made together. Please try to be kind to yourself. Also, practicing self-compassion, as researched by Kristen Neff, helps me to no end. What is the best piece of advice you have received? 3 come to mind. A student once said about a comment I made in class, "You do you, Dr. Butcher." I love that. My therapist in Rome, Georgia said to me often, "Trust your gut. Don't forget, trust your gut." That has stuck with me. A wise person once said to me, "Forgive yourself for where you've let yourself down or hurt others. Then ask for forgiveness from anyone you've hurt and atone. Do better, change. Always practice self-compassion." What's a piece of art, movie, book, music, etc. that changed the way you looked at the world? Monet. I mean, there are so many movies, books, music, etc., but Monet comes to mind at once. I love how he paints Rouen Cathedral and haystacks, so many of these same paintings, but at different times of day and or year, which makes all the difference. He finds the beauty in the nowness of today's light and this time of day, in this season of the year. Those series of paintings are remarkable. When I was a Rotary Scholar at the University of London, these paintings by Monet were exhibited at London's Royal Academy. I went alone, with Sean, with friends, with family visiting, with friends visiting. I went and went and went. And when I was a Rotary student at Heidelberg University, years before that, right after I graduated from college, I was just an international student from a very rural part of Georgia. Monet was not part of my vocabulary, nor were museums. A friend invited me to Zurich, Switzerland, and I went to the Kunsthaus, the art museum. And there was a wall-to-wall water lily painting by Monet so all-encompassingly and unbelievably beautiful that before I knew it, my usually conscientious, color within the lines, 22-year-old self heard an alarm going off, a security guard approaching. I darted off, realizing I touched it without knowing I was going to. Something about Monet. What was your most wonderful experience in college? College was hard for me. Sorry to disappoint, but it was every day hard for me. I was living through family hardship then and undiagnosed dyslexia and depression, and putting one foot in front of the other was a gargantuan achievement that cost me so much energy. On the face of it, I looked happy, accomplished, thriving, doing all the extracurriculars and well, but I was dying inside. Among all that, having a kind, brilliant teacher take my writing seriously, Wilson Hall, he commented on my work as I do on yours, gently and specifically. He helped me move from perfectionism in writing to trying to honor my voice. Also, during college, we went on field trips for Dr. Hall's environmental class, up in the beautiful wilderness of Northwest Georgia, Appalachian foothills. Oof. We went hiking and canoeing the rapids, and we all spent one night alone, apart from the group, all by myself, just twinkling stars in an ink black sky. And that experience has been formative and generative for me to this day. And I'm very grateful not to be living with depression now. And that's one reason that I emphasize therapy and asking for help. Thank you for asking me these questions. You all rock. Go Bears.